is going to be Khalil Shakir. Jesus, so disrespectful. ADP is right now at 109.5. He is up 17.6 spots. It's probably I think it's the most of any player we're going to discuss today. Yeah. The only thing I will just simply say, since I'm a DFS guy, I do love him in week 1. He's only 5,100 in a game with one of the higher over-unders in the slate. So I do like him a lot there, but he'll probably be chalky once we get to the nitty-gritty. Pete, though, what says you on this rise from Shakir?
So Khalil Shakir has been a flag plant for me, at least. There's four guys. It's been Rashee Rice, Christian Watson, Josh Downs, and Khalil Shakir. Shakir, I think there's a spike. Maybe people are starting to get worried about Curtis Samuel, who does have turf toe. And, he's been relatively healthy the last 2 years, but 3 years ago, I mean, he was completely derailed when he joined the Commanders with, I think, a hamstring injury or lower groin or something to that effect. But this is a wide receiver room. They have 241 vacated targets with Diggs and Gabe Davis. And Khalil Shakir is the only guy in this room outside of Dalton Kincaid who has the rapport with Josh Allen. And has a connection. PFF actually graded this duo of Allen and Khalil Shakir as the best duo in football last year. Sounds crazy to say, but on 56 targets, 51 of those throws were considered catchable from Allen to Shakir. So they obviously have a really good connection that was the best in the NFL. I think Geno Smith, and I want to say it might have been JSN. I don't remember I think it was JSN had the second best, which is, good news for JSN if you like him this year. But, Khalil Shakir was third in yards after catch, which is a Joe Brady special. He loves receivers that can provide yak ability. And, he was 15th in yards per catch. So I don't really know what there is not to like about him. He was 12th in slot snaps last year. And I know me and Anthony talk about Kincaid and, them, vying for those slot snaps. But Kincaid, I think, was also in the top 20 for slot snaps. So they made it work last year. Steve made a good point, too, about a month ago. And he said, good teams find a way to get their best players on the field. And that's a great point. And I think Shakir is a great value. And I think he blows past his ADP this year. And he could be a guy that we're looking back on and saying, we wish we had more of. I think all the signs are there, and reports out of camp just says that these two have a really good connection going so far. So,
yeah. All right. Anthony, unless you seem like you were nodding a lot, so unless you had something to say there, we can move on to the next.
No, Shakir's another, I'm with Pete here. Shakir is somebody I'm leaving a lot of drafts with. Kincaid and Shakir, you bring up slot snaps. Kincaid was number 2 at tight end in slot snaps. You bring up where Shakir was, and they did find a way to get them both on the field. Curtis Samuel is a player that I can see him lining up on the outside more. He's more versatile. He can do a lot more. The advantage that Khalil Shakir has over the rest of that wide receiver room is that he has a rapport with Josh Allen already. And guys like Curtis Samuel missing time with an injury, that's valuable reps. I get he's a veteran, but he still needs to get those reps down. So when we see these spikes this time of year, a lot of it is, I don't know, in my opinion, guys like us doing the bulk of our money drafts this time of year, that's going to affect ADP. And we're also getting an influx of people come in now. Your regular fantasy drafters coming and doing all their drafts in August, and they're going to take Khalil Shakir because a lot of people like us are giving this information out. We should be taking credit for talking up Khalil Shakir all off season. Not just us, other shows are doing it. But he is clearly the wide receiver to have. Keon Coleman is getting a lot of hype right now. He's a rookie, and he's going to get that type of hype. When it's all said and done, Khalil Shakir is a little bit cheaper, and I think there are more positive reasons to buy into him than drafting Keon Coleman.
Good stuff. All right, so we're going to go on to the next player. Steve is going to be...
Hold on. Before you do, we do have a question kind of about that discussion, so let me pull Jamie's. He said, pick one to draft, Shakir,